Good evening. Good evening. It's been a while, y'all. So I had to get on here and post. It's been, I guess it's been more than 3 days since my last post, and I haven't had the time. I've been so busy doing other things and just taking care of a little business as usual. But thank you to all my subscribers and to all of my viewers for viewing and subscribing. Please continue to subscribe to my channel and like my videos, leave your comments, stuff like that. And let's get started with this. Separation. Separation. Preparing for separation and wanting and trying to do it the right way is very important. Um, Especially when there are a lot of parties involved. You know, um, one of the things that I believe that couples don't realize is the relationships that get damaged, through separation or divorce that they don't really realize that can happen um, during the course of them going through the transformation. So people get affected, to be perfectly honest. If there are children involved, they get affected by it the most. And this is the things that we don't see. Um, these are some of the issues that come up in certain situations when there is not a proper plan put into place, and I'm going to get to them. Um, One issue that will come up when there's not a proper plan put in place between the couples is the materialistic things. That can get real ugly and complicated if you guys have not ironed out the issue of who was going to take what in the situation and where you're going to live, um, the cars, all of that stuff. That can get ugly real fast. That's why a plan needs to be put in play. Okay. Other issues that may come up, and I guess we could put this down as materialistic, but finances. You know, there could be a situation where one spouse makes more than the other. Um, there could be an issue where um, someone is used to paying all the bills and the other person is not. There could be an issue where someone is sick and the other person is taking care of the other person financially. Um, so that definitely needs to be worked out, and there's a plan that needs to come into play. Um, Other issues like families, and that is a very serious issue because families get so much involved on both sides that it becomes an issue and a hindrance to the relationship altogether. Three things that will ruin a marriage, and I'm going to say them and I'm being honest. That's sex, finances, and family. They are the three major things that will ruin your marriage. Understand and know them very well. Okay? When those three things are not working, one or two of them out of whack, but when all three are out of whack, you have a major problem in your marriage or your relationship. Okay? So, what do we do about these issues? How can we get better at it? Um, let's talk about the last issue, children. Okay? If you got kids together, they are going to be damaged some way, somehow. Believe me when I tell you, it's going to happen. What you think is normal is not normal. You don't know what's going on in their mind and what's going on in their head. They may not say it right away and they may not act out right away, but eventually it's going to happen. And I'm living proof because I'm going through it right now. Okay? Um, these are issues and situations where the communication is very important. Okay? Some people can't communicate together, some people don't know how. All right? But I'm telling you like this, if the separation process has a plan put in play, then you will be able to communicate very well. It cannot be a one-sided thing where somebody's saying, oh, this is the way I want it and this is the way it's going to be. Then the communication going to be way off. You both have to agree. And be fair. Both parties, be fair. Don't just say you're not going to agree because you don't like what the person is saying or you hate their guts. Be fair enough to say that's a good idea. Okay? So, how do you handle these issues? Let's go back and think about this. Materialistic stuff, okay? Which is really not an important thing unless someone is getting affected by it. All right. Cars and the house and stuff like that. For me, if I had a house with my spouse, then I would just go ahead on and let her live in it with the kids. Okay, that's the type of person I am. Not everybody is that way. Okay, you have to come to grips that the child needs to be nurtured by the mother more. Okay, I'm a firm believer of that. That's the first person that the child see when the mom gives birth. That's the first thing they feel. That's everything that that child goes through with their mom when they first come out. That's why they need to nurture them. Okay. Now we'll get back to that later on, but right now we're talking about the materialistic parts. Sit down and come up with a common ground solution for your materialistic things. They're not that important. You can always come back to that at a later date. Okay? The major thing that needs to be talked about is your finances. Definitely sit down, and if you both can't agree on it, then you need to have a mediator like an accountant or a lawyer. Now I'm going to tell you like this. Once you bring the law in, they make all types of decisions that don't need to be. Okay? A few weeks ago, I had a situation going on. And I heard this from the judge herself, having her to tell me that I don't have a right to know where my child is when she's in her mother's care. Totally wrong. This is why you don't get the law involved in certain situations. That information that she gave was not good advice at all. Okay? It just wasn't. That judge was not there when we made that child. So that advice, I just totally ignored it, and I just walked out because I didn't want to hear it. I wasn't going to entertain that. I know what I spoke to her mother about prior to us having that child, and the things that we agreed on. I expect for it to be followed through. If it's not going to be followed through, then I know how to judge you as a mother. That's just it. Case closed. I'm not saying anything bad about her or anything. I'm just saying what and how I feel about it. So that's it. You don't need anybody to decide the things that you both need to agree on. Just be adults about it. Handle it in an adult way. Stop getting these lawyers and uh, accountants involved and stuff like that. You can save that money for your child's education instead of going paying for those services. That's it. That is it. Bottom line, plain and simple. You guys can do it. You just choose not to because you don't want to communicate. It's not about you. It's not about the other person. It's about both of you agreeing. Somebody has to be the bigger person. Just know that. Okay? Now, we can talk about the kids. I already gave you some examples of what happens when the kids are brought into the legal system. They have their own agenda, their own beliefs. Okay? They even got their own beliefs on marriage. And I was like, whoa, taken out. You can't tell somebody how to do their marriage. You're the judge. You know, the way I see it is you didn't even marry me. But thank you for the advice. God married me because it was an ordained minister. All right? It wasn't the judge. It wasn't the justice of the peace. That's real. Okay? The vows that I took and that person took was between us and God. Same goes for you. So, with the kids, okay, try not to get the legal system involved. You don't need the legal system to come up with a mutual agreement on parenting. Throw that out. That is bad advice. Okay? I have been home with my child. I had been home with her for over 2 years prior to my incident. And even when I wasn't, when I worked and I came home, she was with me because I picked her up after work. All right? And whenever her mom called to check up on her, to find out what she was doing, where she was at, what she was eating, the judge wasn't involved in that. That was something that we had set up. That's it. Case closed. That's how it should always be. I'm sorry. I'm the type of parent that want to know where my child is at all times. Because I said this before in one of my old videos. If something happens to my child when they're in someone else's care and I did not know nothing about it, I'm blaming her mother. And that's real. Because the question always comes up, where were the parents? Where are they at? What's going on with that? You can't say that dad knew about anything if I didn't know. And that goes for any parent out there. If you don't know where your child is, then whoever had the care of that child at that present time and they left their care to go with someone else, that's their fault if something happens. That's just what it is. So, when you're separating and you're trying to incorporate the kids, you two need to talk first. And if you're going through your issue of what you did and I did this and all of that, you got to push it to the side. And if you can't push it to the side, then that's when a mediator needs to be put in play for everything that you need to do with that child. That's when you guys need counseling. That may help. It's time to get some family counseling so you know exactly what to do for this child if you guys can't agree. But you need to talk first. And then once you talk, then you come together with that child and both of you talk to those kids, that child together. That's what needs to happen. so that they understand what's about to happen. They may not be able to process it right away, but at least they understand what's going on. They need to understand that we're about to live with just mom or dad. And they also need to understand that uh, the separation or the divorce may be permanent. But depending on how old they are, they're not going to be able to process it. I just had an incident, and I can't really mention the person because it's confidence, but I just had an incident where I met with a young man, and he's older now, but he was young at the time of everything happening between his mom and his dad. And speaking to him, he's 16 now. Okay, he's 16 now. But he was young when his mom and dad actually separated. Okay, dad moved on with his life. Mom's moving on with hers and things like that. But he's feeling the effect of it now. And just to hear what he had to say about the whole situation made me have tears in my eye because it's going on in my own life. You don't know how bad it's going to affect the child. They may seem normal, but it ain't normal. In their mind, their mom and dad is going to get back together. And can nobody tell them any different? That's it. So how do we fill that void? How do we help out with that illusion? For one, we try to incorporate things together so they understand that mommy and daddy like each other, love each other, but this is what they had to do at the time just so that they can like each other. Okay? They need to see different, but they also need to feel like you get along with each other. And if there is a parent that does not agree with that, you are going to be the parent at fault for the way that that child turns out. And I guarantee they're going to make you feel that when they get older. If that parent, that other parent has been trying to be in that child's life and you've been stopping it, they're going to tell you when you get older. When they get older, they will tell you. And it may pull them away from you. If both parents want to be parents in that child's life, nobody should be stopping anyone. You can't give stipulations on how you want it done. It's what's best for that child. I see this all the time. I do. And after hearing from that young man and seeing what he's going through, and he's 16. So I guess he's supposed to understand how this works at the age of 16 when there's a lot of things that he's been dealing with all these years. And it's just starting to come out. Separation, divorce needs to be done in a delicate matter. It was a delicate situation when you said I do. So how come it can't be delicate when you walk away from it? If you're going to do this, think about what it's going to do and how it's going to affect everybody in the situation. From top to bottom, relationships get affected. People get affected. Seriously. And I get it. Some people can't get along. Some people can't, some people don't want to honor their marriage. I'm guessing that's what it is in a lot of situations. Because if you listen to the vows that you took, then you'll honor your marriage. You didn't make those vows with your husband and with your wife. You made those vows between you and God. So at the end of the day, you leave in this world without your mate anyway. The person you're going to meet on the other side is God. So everything that you do, you're going to answer to Him for. That will determine where you're going to go at from there. That's it. Even the question of your marriage will come up. And did you do it the right way? Did you separate the right way? Did you divorce for all the right things? The things that you were saying, that you allege, were they true? All of that will be brought up between you and God. But somebody has to be the bigger person in the situation. You got to be the bigger person. If you continue to fight, your partner or your spouse continues to fight, nobody is going to win. And everything and everybody else around you gets affected by it. So what happens? There's a lot of people that's going to lose. That's what's going to happen. And I tell people this all the time. It's so easy to get married. The hardest part is getting out of it, depending on everything that goes along with it. You may think that it's, it's a hurtful because it's an emotional thing that is attached to it. Why do you think it was already ordained and destined for you to get married? Think about it. There's an attachment. If you're married, it was already predestined and ordained by God for you to be married. That means you're going against God's will. So what do you think is going to happen? If you go against Him, He's going to go against you. It's quite simple. I think I said this in one of my other videos that I didn't know marriage as much as I know now, and now it's allowing me to see things from a different perspective. I changed because of that. It's made me a stronger person. It's made me an awesome father. Everything, I strive to be anyway. My situation is totally different from everybody else's. But I always share a little bit to give you just an insight on where I've been and where I'm going. And I don't want to see the same thing happen in your situation. Please get some help if you have to. Try to stay away from the legal part of the situation for as long as you can. You bring that in, you are adding more flame to the fire. Communication is the key in the situation. And if you communicate the right way, then everybody will be happy in this situation. Even when it comes down to as little as the materialistic things, be fair about it. Come on, don't take everything from the other person just because you're trying to be spiteful. That's not fair. Everybody loses in the situation. No one gains anything if you're being spiteful. I guarantee it. So, we need to be smart about this. Separation should be the last option. Should never be the first. Okay? It should be one of the last. Divorce should be the very last option. All right? You have to exceed all of your options before you start thinking about, I meant to say exhaust all of your options. Uh, Exhaust all of your options before you start thinking about separation and divorce. Get some help. And I'm into this. Stop trying to do it together and you go get help for you first. Allow yourself to get the help so that you can help the situation. This way you can be the bigger person. Okay? Right now, I feel like I'm the bigger person in the situation because I got help for myself. So things that I used to let bother me, it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm not fighting with it because I can. I just don't have it in me to fight anymore. When you become that person and you get to that point, then you can say, all right, now I'm ready to entertain what the other person has to say. Because it's hard. I'm telling you, you're gonna have some bouts, some things are gonna come up against you. You're being tested at that point in time with everything that you learned and all the help that you got. You're being tested. It's what you do and what you say that is going to prove that you're a changed person. I don't know about y'all, but I'll pray about it. I give it to God and say, Lord, just take it. Do what you do with it what you must so that I can at least have peace in the situation. That's it. That is it. Case closed. So, I hope this helped. Like I'm telling y'all, listen, that'll be the last thing you start to think about. Be real with one another, communicate. If you did something wrong, please go to the person and tell them that you did it. Stop hiding that information, you know. And I'll say this too, because I'm probably going to do a video on it. You may not get that apology that you want, but you still have to forgive that person. Seriously, forgive them anyway. I don't concentrate on the things that was done to me. I concentrated on the things that I did to the person. That's what will make the situation 10 times better. Stop concentrating on what they did to you. What about what you did? Say that to yourself. What did you do? And how did you affect this situation? Stop worrying about the other person. That's not cool. I thank God that I'm in that place within myself that I don't even concentrate on what was done to me anymore. I don't care. You have to be, you got to live with that. That's it. They have to live with it. They feel like they did something right, and big ups to you, kudos, all that stuff. Hey, go ahead. Go ahead. God will deal with you on his own time. And his dealing with you is worse than anyone else dealing with you. That karma thing, it's real, y'all. Be careful. What you do to people, it's going to come back. And sometimes it's 10 times worse. It's 10 times worse. I'm telling y'all, it's not a good thing. It ain't even a good feeling. Seriously, be nice. Work together. That's the main thing. Like, listen, you don't get to 30, 40, 50, 60 years and y'all, ooh, with the people who you see that is really making it that far. How do you think they made it? They went through some things. They had to go through some things to get to those years. That's testimonies in that marriage if they made it that far. I got my twin brother coming up on his 10 years, and my sister real soon coming up on their 10 years. You know what I mean? Just to make it that far, you went through some things. People who's married 20 years, they went through a lot, and they probably would be able to tell you about it if you asked them. You got to be able to put in the work. You want that success, but you don't want to put it in. You want to put the work in. So ask yourself this: why did I get married? Ain't that the name of the movie? Why did I get married? Not why did the other person marry me, but why did I get married to that person? Ask yourself that. And I bet you'll come up with a logical answer. That's all I got for y'all. Keep it real. God bless. Love you.